Hello Virgo, welcome to Mind, Body and Heart Tarot Therapy. I'm here to do the reading for what's left of December 2019. It's gonna be a general reading for Virgo, Sun, Moon and Rising sign. If it resonates, and if it doesn't, then it's just not your reading. I hope you're well, Virgo. Alright, so Five of Swords is your current energy. I hope you're well. Do enjoy this month. It's happy holidays. Three of Pentacles as your challenge. Sorry about that. Sometimes my mind goes completely blank when I'm trying to say something. Yes. Let's just go on with the reading. Let's chatter more. Focus. Okay. Now do you look at that? We have the Tower as your focus. Okay. It's interesting with the Tower comes as focus. Okay, so we have the Temperance as your advice. And let's see, where is this going? The Hanged Man as your future energy, or where is this going? Alright, I hope you can see this. There's not a lot of light in here, and these candles do shine up a bit weird. And bottom of the deck we have the Devil as your underlying energy, so kind of what you're working with for this month. The theme of this month for you is the Devil. And I'm gonna pull out the clarifiers before I even go into this, because it's quite complicated month. Apparently it's really interesting energy going on, and it can get quite intense. So yeah, let's see what this is all about. It's all about the nuance here. Gonna take this deck, write these cards here. Alright, so we have Justice with the Five of Swords as your current energy. We have the High Priestess with the Three of Pentacles as your challenge. We have the Three of Stones, which is also called Work, with the Tower as your focus. We have the Princess of Wands with the Temperance as your advice. And the Princess of Cups with the Hanged Man as your future energy. And bottom of the deck, we have the Sun of Swords in the South, which is the Prince of Swords in this deck, to go along with the Devil as your theme. And in this deck, the Prince of Swords, which is actually the Knight of Swords, is called Osiris. And I want to read that archetype because I feel that I don't really know that much about the series and what these, because this deck has a very different interpretation of the cards. Right. Okay. Sorry. There you are. So, Prince of Swords, where are you? Is it the last one? Oh, there you are. Osiris is a peaceful ruler. His crook and flail indicate his power derives from his role as a teacher of agriculture. He is in white as the first mummy and the lord of the afterworld. Divinatory meaning: someone gentle yet persuasive, an initiate into esoteric mysteries and kindness. All right. And the way it plays out with the Devil here, when the Devil talks a lot about our hidden fears and our hidden desires that may end up like shackling us and holding us back because we don't really know how to address them, right? And this Prince of Swords here, Osiris, he's persuasive, but he's also kind and gentle. And I think this is kind of what you really need, how you really need to approach this devil right now. Because if we demonize these parts of ourselves that we just don't really know how to address, we can either completely reject them and say, okay, I don't want to feel like this. I don't like this part of me. Go away. Then we actually give them power, because we move them into the unconscious. We don't want to look at them, and then they start driving us from the depth of our psyche. And that's when the devil starts having, or like these parts of ourselves start having a negative connotation, because it's really just unawareness, and it turns into ignorance, and it turns into impulses and patterns, that behavioral patterns that we don't particularly know what we're doing, but they are there. We don't know why we act the way we act. We don't know why we feel the way we feel sometimes. We just know that we don't want to feel it. So yeah. So I think this very kind and gentle approach and understanding of the agriculture, in the sense, I think it means understanding of the season, understanding when it's time to rest, when it's time to play, when it's time to follow your desires and dig deep, and when it's time to I don't know, enjoy the labors of your work and taste the fruits of passion, of desire, and everything else. The devil is also can be, for example, what pushes us forward. Like sometimes we need that type of craving and that type of desire that comes outside of ourselves, in a sense, a seduction in a way, in order to move away from our comfort zone. And when we are bored, maybe some type of seductive, how to call it, new endeavors. It can really bring you to experience things that you wouldn't have otherwise experienced. And also it's a journey of self-discovery, and it's that journey of self-discovery, understanding again, what have we been pushing in the subconscious mind, what have we been pushing in the basement, and learning to really work with it from a kind perspective rather than judgmental and fearful. Fear is what gives the devil the power to become, what we perceive as negative. Otherwise, there's nothing negative about this energy. It's bringing awareness into what's not, where is not awareness. Okay, the Five of Swords with the Justice card as your okay, guys, I think I need to check with the light. Let's see. Alright. I hope this is better. Right, so we have the Five of Swords with the Justice as your current energy. And yes, as I said, maybe we at times, we as people, we as humans, can embody this Five of Swords energy when we feel triggered. Especially, we tend to, or the way when we perceive conflict outside of our internal world, but it can be also within ourselves, like inner conflict, and that can show up as being judgmental. This is swords energy, is energy of the mind, logic, and so on. It can show up as being like, really judgmental, especially the Justice here, and maybe a little bit like holier than thou, in a sense. But look at this person. They've been fighting. This person had won here, but it's a winning that happens at a cost. Is that type of winning where you need to, you may need to be ruthless at times in order to win whatever this is. But this card says clearly, like, choose your battles. And with the justice here, I think it's really important for you right now to really choose your battles and make sure that you are in balance with your values, right? Sometimes we can become judgmental, and it's sometimes part of our own old patterns and old way of looking at life. But as we open up to ourselves, and as we open up to spirituality, and as we open our hearts, we understand that this energy is rarely really needed and necessary. We can learn how to navigate it. I see it happening, like coming for me as well many times. And we're learning to create, again, a relationship with it rather than pushing it away or being annoyed by it or embodying it either. We don't really need to act out of this energy, but we can connect to this energy and understand, like, okay, yeah, maybe I'm being a little bit edgy here, or I'm being a little bit feisty, or I'm being a little bit confrontational when it's not needed, because I'm feeling triggered. So it's actually covering up for something that I really believe it's just, or whatever. It's a part of me that it's not aligned here in some way that I need to look at. Maybe sometimes there's a real threat and it's really needed for me to be a bit more feisty and a little bit more aggressive. Sometimes it's really necessary, no question there. But I need to check out again and again with myself if it's a real threat or if it's a perceived threat, or is it just that, okay, here I am, I feel vulnerable right now and I don't really know how to deal with this. So what can I do now to feel, what do I really need to feel more relaxed, so I don't get into this rather aggressive energy where I need to show off, or when I need to put somebody else down in order to, for myself to feel powerful in a sense. We're all guilty of doing that one way or another. It can manifest in different ways for different people, and it can be very, very undercover energy at times, because it's energy of the mind and we can always rationalize it one way or another. Yeah, well, see how it works out for you, Virgo. It's a general reading, it will not resonate with everyone, and see if this plays out in your current story right now. Have you been feeling triggered, and is your sense of justice being challenged? Like, what is it the right thing to do? What is it that the things in your life where you don't really know if this energy is even justified or not? Check out like how you can connect to your intuition right now. See, you have the feathers of the peacock, I think it's called, yes, one that symbolizes like a connection to your intuition as well. Like deep down in your gut, you know what is the right thing to do, and you know if your ego is just being triggered and is playing out that story that you're somehow justified to stand up for yourself when maybe it's not needed. Maybe you're not really being attacked, or maybe it's a petty fight that you don't like. Yeah, people can come at you in certain ways, and maybe you have this typical way of responding. But this time with the justice and really feeling into it, you can learn also to not feed these situations, to not participate in this fight all the time, but sometimes to really pull out your energy from it. So connect to your inner sense, to your inner wisdom, and give yourself what you need in the moment in order to make sure that you're grounded and you come to this place where you're feeling challenged, or where you feel like you need to maybe protect yourself if it's really necessary for you to embody this energy. Sometimes it is, not always though. Okay, so what's a challenge for you right now apparently is to get to that inner wisdom with the High Priestess here. I guess your inner voice maybe has been a bit silenced lately, and you find it difficult to collaborate with other people, maybe especially at work. And I have the work here as well as your focus with the Tower. So maybe there's a lot of things going on your work environment, or your the environment where you need to collaborate with other people on it can be, again, projects that have to do with work, where not only it can be just things that are important for you in daily activities and daily life, maybe even partnerships at home and how you're running the house, or but it may be much more like career oriented here. But yeah, not only the three of Pentacles talks about like people coming from different schools of thought and from different walks of life coming together in order to build something bigger, right? So it can be literally about projects and work, but it can also be about like, yeah, personal projects or things that are really important to you, where you can appreciate diversity. Maybe in this case, it's you feel more like challenged by diversity rather than like you're gaining much from it, and maybe you have difficulty receiving feedback at this point and learning from that feedback, and it's possible that right now you just feel like you see this you find this defensiveness coming up, and your aggressive side going for different opinions. And you know, like, come on, this can happen to everyone. I also feel it many times, and it's important to start noticing it and not act from it again. It's a process, and it takes time, and it seems that it's been a little bit challenging for you right now. This is the challenge. And the High Priestess, yes, we need to connect to our intuition, we need to connect to our inner wisdom, but when that voice is silent and we really can't get in touch with it, we can get very confused, right? Especially if we're used to get in touch with it, if you're used to hear your inner wisdom coming out and telling you what's the right thing to do, in a sense that's not necessarily coming from your logical mind, but from that basic goodness and compassionate place that we all carry at the core of our beings, you know. So it's very interesting what your focus and advice are regarding this. Just looking at this too, the High Priestess, seeing this big bubble here that's on top of this mountain. The mountains usually talk about challenges, and there's this big bubble here, and I'm connecting it. It's not necessarily the case. I can read the card a bit later of the way they intended it, but the way I see it right now, it's like creating that container for yourself. I think like each and every card comes with a wisdom and advice in its own, even though we have the advice position right here. But with the High Priestess here, I feel like it's really necessary for you to create a container for yourself. That means maybe a little of silent time, a little bit of boundaries putting and communication of those boundaries in order to be able to hold your inner space and understand what you need, so you can show up in relationships from a more grounded place, not from a place where you're constantly triggered. It is very possible that you may be surrounded by very triggering people at this point, and it's not you and it's not them, it's just a situation, the dynamics. Maybe you remind each other of some deep wounds that you have, and it's difficult to get over that. So it's really important to get in touch right now with yourself. And yeah, with the focus of the Tower and the Three of Stones, the Three of Pentacles, right? These are the same cards. Don't move your attention from it. Don't try to run away from this. It's okay to feel the way you feel. It's okay to feel that triggered, and it's okay to see the aggressive side of you showing up. Or to notice also how other people are being aggressive, because this is back and forth. This is not just one person feeling this type of dynamics, you know. It's the two people taking turns into attacking each other and so on. If the Tower is focus, maybe it's important to really stay present into allowing this structure to collapse. The Tower talks about these huge walls that we've built around our heart in order to protect us, and that's kind of being shaken here. And I know it doesn't feel great. It can feel pretty shitty, especially when we're triggered in this manner by the people that we work with. You can literally shake our full foundation of what we think is justice and what we think is correct and what we think is uh, um, the right thing to do. But it's also a great opportunity for us to check our old belief system and see if it still applies, and kind of allow some of those walls we've built around the heart to fall apart, so we can build anew. It's like the Babel. It's like it's not really fitting anymore for you. It's not. But the tower comes as grace. The tower is really like when your soul wants you to learn a lesson, and maybe somehow you skip that class for whatever reason. It doesn't matter. It's like you're soul pushing you quite intensely and saying like, okay, no, you're gonna learn this lesson, like it or not. It's some type of enlightenment coming in. See, this is like divine. You have the lightning coming here, striking this tower, and it's actually freeing up these two people that were held up there for maybe who knows how long. Maybe they were prisoners of this tower. They didn't have no opportunity to come out and see the world. And yeah, I'm sure they're not particularly comfortable feeling like they're being forced out of this tower, but they're being also saved in a sense. They're be getting freed, and they will learn how to cope with this. They will land in the water, whatever it is. They're gonna feel their emotions there, and they will build anew from there. And the work for Three of Stones, like, focus on what works for you. Focus on what is it that you find, not only the differences, but also the things that unite you. And when you find that common ground, like these three people, what they have in common, yeah, maybe they have very different education and they have different specialties in building this cathedral. One might be the architect, one might be the engineer, one might be the construction worker. So they have very different lives, very different education, very different standards and so on. But what they have in common is that they're actually building this together, right? They're working together, they have a common goal. And for you, it's important now to recognize that, and recognize it from a grounded place, that we're in this together, whoever these people are. And as you allow this belief structure to collapse, focus on what works for you, and learning from the differences rather than and being triggered by them. And it's not an easy thing to do. It really isn't. And I think you're grounded enough to see what works. I think that the key message here is really to not dissociate from this process. It is a little bit triggering, it is a little bit uncomfortable, but you can stay present with it because it's your focus, See how the tower collapses and see how you can access again your high priestess, your inner wisdom, your connection with divinity. You're literally being struck in your head right now, so you can get that connection. Whatever you missed, whatever you didn't understand at some point in your journey, now you're getting it, and you're getting it deeply. And you see, we have the Temperance with the Princess of Wands, which is Radha. I would read about her, I don't know her, as your advice. So the Temperance definitely talks about like balancing out again. So you have the Justice here, which also has the scale. See, it's balancing out like but this is more mind energy, like balancing out your belief system. With Temperance is balancing out your emotions and balancing out also where those beliefs come from. What do we really, really have faith in? Where does all of this mind energy, what is it based on? Because it's not usually based on the mind, but on something much deeper. See, this fire sign, which is it's actually this triangle, it's fire in alchemy, is right on his heart. So that's where you will find your wisdom, that inner passion, that inner drive. This is Sagittarius energy. We're in Sagittarius right now for most of December, and then towards the end we're moving into Capricorn. And with Temperance, as you advise, you really like, you're really advised here to look at this with curiosity. I know it's not easy, but hear me out. When we get triggered like this, we go into patterns and we go into like, the whole neural connections that is present for you in your brain, lights up, and it puts you into fight or flight response. Your nervous system, it's your amygdala, your autonomous nervous system makes this decision for you, so there's nothing to feel guilty about. But it's very curious to notice how this works. It's very curious to notice how our nervous system works and how our brain works and how our old patterns start playing out, and different personas come out and have like a like a rehearsed reaction. It's something that's done most of the time. But with the Temperance, you're like, okay, well, I'm curious. This is the alchemist, I'm curious about this, and I'm going to treat this as a scientist would treat this, with curiosity and with experimentation. Play with it. See what do I need? Go within, see what do I need, see how this power folds, and kind of allow it, stay present with it, and think about, okay, so if I take this water from here to here, maybe it will actually put down this fire, and I can learn how to swim, and then what's the best place to swim from in the shortest direction, and so on and so on and so on. What is it that works? You're learning of how to work with yourself here, especially, and with your triggers, and then you're learning how to heal that inner wound that's been triggered all the time here. And you're also learning how to work with other people. With other people, when we form new connections, when we form work connections, it's very interesting to try different strategies or different ways of showing up. Maybe if I am too personal with certain people, they will feel intimidated. They will feel this is inappropriate. Maybe if I'm too distant, it's also like, oh my God, like I can't connect to these people. I can't work together. I don't trust you. Maybe I find a different way of connecting or speaking up or communicating. And be curious about this. Be curious of what you can learn from these people. Be curious about what shows up. I'm going to read this lady for you, the Princess of Wands, but the Princess of Wands talks about the Page of Wands, which is also like an energy where you can really make use of passion and curiosity and something new. Like, pages talk about really the brink of understanding and the brink of a new project. How does this work? Like making a project out of the way you deal with your more aggressive side, and with other people's aggressive side, and with other people's behaviors that trigger you. We learn how to put new boundaries. We learn how to communicate. Temperance really tells you that you can play with this, not just this is like, in order to disengage the fight or flight response of the nervous system, we can first of all do anything that's really grounding for us, to release all that pressure that we built up within ourselves, and we can start doing like breath work or meditation or exercise, TRE, tension and trauma release exercises, this type of stuff that really engage your nervous system and allow you to release. That's the one step. But the other step is also engaging the curiosity, because curiosity is changing the focus completely. It's engaging our prefrontal cortex, which is like the later development of our brain. The autonomous nervous system, it's like what they call the reptilian brain, is our the oldest part of our brain. It's very instinctual and it functions by instinct, but we can't be constantly driven by this instinct. We need to start engaging the prefrontal cortex and to discern. We need to learn to discern between real threat and perceived threat, and we can do that with compassion. That's how we befriend our fears and our the parts of us that we banished at some point. It's really interesting to have the devil here and an angel. It's a beautiful enactment of the light and the dark, and how we're working with this. Let me read this lady. Daughter of Wands. Okay, Daughter of Wands. So, Radha and Krishna, son of Wands, are gods, but they are also human. They are young and in love. Their flutes are the power of Wands translating into music, and Wands talks about spirituality and talks about passion and talks about fire energy. Okay. Radha's flute blends the colors of the rainbow. The red dot on her forehead is a symbol of holiness and life. 3 stones over her forehead signify sensuality, motherhood, and wisdom. Divinatory meanings: abundance, joy, good sense, and culture. So there's definitely an abundance of lessons that you can get from here, and you can tap into this very passionate energy of yours and learn how to put that into practice, how to put it into the world. And I like this whole thing that they said that they're both gods, but they're also humans. And this is in a way the way we are, we literally are of a divine nature. We are souls having a human experience, and we need to remember this every once in a while, not to the point that we get a little bit ungrounded and get delusional and start using my messiah complex around other people. Not in that sense, but in the sense that I am safe. I'm taking this journey in this human experience because my soul wants to expand its consciousness in a certain direction, and all that I experience is a learning process for me. It can feel uncomfortable, it can feel great, it can feel amazing, it can feel really shitty, but at the core of everything, it's a learning experience. And I agreed to this, and I'm starting to take it less seriously and more playfully, in a sense, And yeah, we can talk big conflicts here. It is not all easy to work with. I'm not denying in any way the difficulty of this energy. Not at all. And the tower, like great as it is, and with all the hidden blessings, it can feel quite uncomfortable. But this is why the temperance comes as advice to also learn to balance up these emotions so we can disengage our involvement in this conflict. So we don't feed into it anymore, but we learn how to self-care. We learn how to come into tending to our needs, to, if necessary, remove myself from a certain partnership or dynamics that doesn't work for me, or learn to work with it if it has a chance of working, Okay, and this is going with the Hangman and the Princess of Cups. It's going in a place of like what I call low-key serenity, where you really are like learning to accept the things that you cannot change, and learning to recognize what are the things that you can change and have the courage to do so, and also having the wisdom to understand the difference, Okay, so maybe I can definitely not change the relationship I have with my boss, or with a certain co-worker, or with somebody who lives in this building, or cohabitation, or whatever the hell is going on in there. Then I learn to just not engage. I'm not going to approach this person. I'm letting go of that. But I also know it's out of my control, so I don't feel guilty, I don't feel threatened, I don't feel that it's my responsibility to solve up their shit. But the point is, like, I don't take it upon me anymore. That's discernment. But when I can do something about it, I can also take responsibility for my own wounds and for my own aggressive behavior. I can apologize sometimes for when I'm overreacting. We can all overreact. When none of us are, like, we are humans. That's the whole point. We are humans. We are not supposed to be perfect. We are learning. We are the imperfect hero having a journey. And this is a very curious journey to certain degrees, of course. And it sometimes is required a lot of wisdom. And that's what the Princess of Cups brings here, like wisdom, a change of perspective, a time to go within and to reflect. And yeah, I already mentioned exactly what the Serenity Prayers are about, but it may be a really good thing for you to try it out. See if it works for you to just say the Serenity prayer for yourself, either like a mantra, either just feel into it once and see how that resonates with you, and see if you can take some wisdom from that. And I'm sure you can find it online, and I'm paraphrasing here. It was something like, well, they say God when I'm sometimes having difficulties putting it in that way, because I don't believe in the God that Catholics or religion in general it does, Christianity or any other religion is portraying it. But I have my own version of understanding the God within and the God without and so on. But you can use whatever works for you. You can say universe, God, higher self. Grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. This is it. I find so much wisdom in those words, and I think that's how we build resilience. And serenity it's the best. It's the best. Been there. I can't always keep it. Sometimes I'm also having to go through this or through this or through this, and it is part of the journey. But that's what we're learning as well with the Hanged Man. And we learn to connect to our hearts, and we learn to connect to our deepest inner wisdom. Yeah, beautiful. Good luck with it. Virgo. It's really it's quite a journey, isn't it? I think you're able to do this though, because this wouldn't show up as your advice if you didn't have the capacity to understand it and to connect to this energy. It may not be the easiest thing to do, but really see if you can, whatever works for you. I mean, like, don't need to take any of my suggestion, but see what works for you. Again, work to find yourself engaging your passionate self and your curious self. How can you invite your curious self at the table with all this? Okay, let's see what's the message from the heart from our dear brother Rumi. Okay. Cosmic heart. No, there's that heart that we were talking about. And the Hangman also really talks about surrender and about opening our hearts. So let's see what this one says. It's number 8. This is what we're reading from. Number 8. Okay, so the poem from Rumi says, I hope you all know Rumi, and if you don't know, look him up. He's amazing. He's a poet, Sufi poet. So the cosmic heart, right? I was dead. I became alive. I was tears. I became laughter. The power of love arrived and made me everlasting power. I have seen everything. I have no fear. I have the heart of a lion, and I shine like Venus. Yeah, this is like very feminine, nurturing energy, Venus. And the Princess of Wands is also feminine, that whole Venus thing, but it's a more passionate, more curious one. The High Priestess is also very like nurturing energy, or self-nurturing and understanding of duality, with that type of surrender and opening of the heart. I have no fear. We only need to fight when we feel afraid. There's no reason to fight if I feel safe. Right. Okay, let's see. It's the guidance for you. This oracle comes with special guidance for you. More love is rushing towards you like a great cosmic tsunami. You will struggle with this blessing to the extent that you will attempt to hold on to what has been. This is what the tower is, like when we're holding on too much to the version of reality that we created so far. But this is actually love coming in with this is that divine grace is coming from that place of unconditional love, and it can feel a little bit like a tsunami, and we may feel resistance, but that's also normal. Okay, let's see where this goes. You will struggle with this blessing to the extent that you will attempt to hold on to what has been. Don't let go. Let it move you. You'll perhaps get some water up your nose, but nothing will come to you that you cannot handle. Yes, Mattia. You will be disheveled somewhat, undoubtedly. Yet as you are washed up upon love's shining shore, yeah, that's I always picture these people kind of falling into the water and then swimming or being washed off to a shore somewhere. Okay, so yet as you are washed up upon your mind, you'll be too caught up in the wonder of perfection, realizing how deeply loved you are and how unnecessary it is to contrive a way to live your purpose. Instead, you have no idea what's going on. You'll be surrendered in passionate embrace with life being your exquisite, crazy, unique self, saturated with divine love. It will drip from you, out of your feet, your eyes, your voice, your touch. You'll water the earth with love's oceanic presence. Oh, how that tsunami will deliver you into your divine destiny. No need for any contrivance. Let your hair get messed up. Your destiny awaits you now. Well, that's beautiful. That's really beautiful. I really hope that this makes sense to you. And really, like, this is why it's so important to allow yourself to create this container for your own practice and for your own being, to find that place within yourself, in your heart, where you know you're safe, where you allow yourself for your own heart to connect to the heart of the universal consciousness, the cosmic heart. Because you are not really alone, you are not really threatened, you are safe. Your worth does not stay in the way these people think of you, or what is it that you think of, like your ego mind thinks of them either, or yourself in the situation. Your worth was never on the table. This is never been challenged. It cannot be challenged, because we were not objects that worth this or that, and we allow ourselves to believe this. That's when we suffer, and that's when we feel threatened. But this is what kind of falls apart here. Whatever concepts you might have concocted about you, your worth and your value based on the way you connected to your work, in this case, I suppose. Whatever happens to you, you are fine. You are perfect, just as you are. There's nothing to be changed about who you are, and how you are, and how you love. You are loved in a way that maybe you don't realize right now, and you will. And this may not make any goddamn sense to you right now, as you're in this energy, but it will when you really connect to that heart. There's these 3 cards here telling you that you are going to experience a heart opening. And many of you may actually know what I'm talking about. Maybe not find yourself here right now, but you've been there before, so you can connect to that experience, and that can really, really help you. So yeah, don't forget, focus on what works, and focus on being present with this process as it happens right now, and allow your curiosity to take over, and allow that spring of actual passion and divine guidance that you're getting here with this tower falling to be facilitated into reality. Allow yourself to access those inner resources coming from unconditional love and from the cosmic heart. All right, I can't put this in ways that makes more sense because I lack the words or the vocabulary needed for that. But I really hope that those of you that resonate with this feel that you have something to land on with all that. And if you do resonate, please like, share, and subscribe so these type of messages can reach other people out there that may be in need of them. And I'll see you here soon. Enjoy your holiday season and, well, Happy New Year.